Last episode, I built a barn to store the masses of raw food we now produce, I built a centralized control system for the farms, and I had a visit from my friend Adi, who sold me some tree schematics for extortionate amounts of diamonds. It was totally worth it though, they look amazing. I then went on to name the farm, but I actually got the name of the person who chose that name completely wrong. I called them Darius-born Dragon Knights, when clearly on the screen it said Dragon-born Darius Knights, which makes much more sense, so sorry about that. And something else I also did last episode was claim that the farm was complete, but it turns out that was actually a bit of a lie. There's something we've forgotten about. And by we, I mean me. It's definitely my fault, but we're not actually making mushrooms, and we're definitely going to need those. They are a key ingredient in many meals. And for the food side of things, we're also going to need some cocoa. The rest of it is not so important. I mean, these are the things that we do want to produce, but they're not really food related. Squid ink, I mean, that's only for making one dish, so we're probably not going to bother, but we definitely need cocoa and mushrooms. So I may have to stick a small building down for those somewhere, but that's not the only problem. The other issue, if we go back to this warehouse, is to do with processing, because we can't eat rice pinnacles or wheat or indeed sugarcane. So we need to turn those into rice, sugar and flour. So I got to thinking, what can we possibly put that in? And the answer, well, it's pretty obvious, I think. We have a farm, we have a hill, and we have a giant wheat field. So I think we're going to build a big windmill over here and extend the wheat field up the hill as well, which is going to be nice because, well, it's very flat at the moment. We've got a little bit that goes up the side of the hill here, but I think extending this wheat field over the top there, fixing all this bit here where it kind of looks horrible, and adding in a new road, probably around here somewhere to get up to the windmill, then we can process those goods in there, and then the farm will be complete, and I can finally build that airport. I really want to build the airport. But the airport's basically going to be sitting on the other side of all this stuff, so I need to get this stuff built first. And the first step in that is going to be sorting out the terrain here. I need to make it look a little bit more natural. There's lots of bits just sticking up which are no good whatsoever, and I need to choose exactly where I'm going to be putting the windmill. And it's probably also going to be handy for me to figure out where the road's going to go, but I think the most obvious place will be to come down here and connect up to this bit over there. But we shall see. Let's get digging. There we go, that's looking much better. I've put in a small road. We're probably going to need to widen that a little bit in some places. And we've got a path that's going to go up to where the windmill is going to go. I almost called it a lighthouse there. And we'll figure out the rest of this terrain and where the field's going to come up to. It'll probably sort of curve out a little bit around here and then sort of wrap around the back, I'd imagine. But we'll work all that out later. First up, I want to try and build myself a lovely little windmill over here. And I need to make sure it's got enough space to process those 3 different resources, which, to be fair, isn't a lot of space. It's only 3 crushing wheels, or 3 sets of crushing wheels, I should say. There shouldn't be too much of an issue. It does occur to me, however, I'm going to need a buttload more wheat seeds, and we're currently turning them all into bone meal, so I'm going to maybe just quickly disconnect this system briefly, just by removing that. And now for the next couple of harvests, we'll be collecting all of those up. But look at that, we've got through so many seeds. 33,000 bone meal, I like. Anyway, we're getting distracted. Windmill, up there, on the hill. And I might end up expanding the hill out a little bit that way, but let's try and get down some kind of a shape, I guess. So let's just start with some stone. Right, round base, I guess. Something about that sort of size. And a bit like the one at Beardstone Valley, I think I do want to have a small sort of house sticking out the side. Nothing too big this time, though. Maybe just something like that, I think. But I guess I should probably try and work out what materials I actually want to use to build this thing. Let's start with a dark oak frame down the bottom here. Maybe limestone and granite. Let me just start working out the next part of the windmill, and we'll go from there, I guess. Put in a potential roof for that, but I'm not sure that works. I think it might clash a little bit too much with the granite, but we'll work that out later. For now, what I want to do is put on essentially like a little sort of balcony bit that goes around the edge of the windmill, and then we're going to make the main tower that the actual windmill itself is going to go on. But I think for a base, that should work nicely. How's it looking from a distance? Is it too big? It does feel quite large. Nah, I think that'll fit nicely once we've got the big windmill on. So if we get a walkway in that's maybe 2 blocks wide, then we'll just stick a handrail around the side here and some supporting bits underneath. Otherwise, that's going to look a little bit weird. And now I need to do the main tower, but I do not know what I want to build that out of. Well, I think something that sort of shape is probably maybe going to work, but yeah. Definitely chosen the wrong block there. So let's quickly tear this down. Right, let's try again. I think it needs something maybe a bit lighter, like stripped oak maybe. Well, colour-wise, I definitely prefer that. I've just got to work out the shape and get the rest of the tower in, I guess. Getting there, but I'm still not happy about this bit here. Maybe a little roof like that all around it could tie it together nicely. Yeah, I think that could work, but what we really need to do is get the actual windmill blades on, because that's how we're going to tell if this is actually going to work or not, or if I've got to rip the whole thing down and start again. We'll start just by sticking a windmill bearing out here, although it can actually go back one. And as we've got access to loads of wool now, I think that's what we're going to make the blades out of, instead of using the actual create sort of wind sail things. I think we can make a much better job of it just by using the sheep wool directly. So we'll take some grey, a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of dark grey. Actually make some space to pick it all up. There we go. All right, so windmill. I think it probably makes the most sense to do the blade that's going to be coming down first because, well, we want to make sure that it's not going to hit the roof here. So I'm thinking a shape like that should work quite nicely. It is sticking out quite far at the back here, but I don't think it's really that noticeable unless you're literally looking side on. So, yep, we're going to go with that. So I guess as a blocky basic shape building, this is now ready for some texture and some windows and some doors and all those good things. So let's crack on and see what we can do. I'm pleased to say progress is being made. We've still got the top half to do, but the bottom side I think is coming along quite nicely. I've added in a small path at the front here, which of course goes up to the front door. This is where we're going to have all of our grindstones doing their thing. But I think the addition of some windows and a bit of texture and so on is really helping to pull this bit together. And with the roof as well, I do think I maybe want to mix in something else, maybe a bit of netherrack, give it a bit of brightness. Not entirely sure yet. And maybe this should look a little bit worn as well. With the granite brick wall, I've mixed in just some normal granite and some mud bricks, which I think really helps to set it off a little bit, and we've just put in some windows on this side here. Although with that mud block there, it looks like a face way too much. Let's get rid of that. But from a texture point of view, I think it's coming along nicely. I've also actually messed around with the blades a little bit as well. You may notice the shape has changed ever so slightly, and I've got these fences and a bit of texture in there as well, and I really think that does help that. In fact, while we're here, let's have another quick look from a distance and just check the scale now that the blades are on. Oh yes, I'd say that's just about right. Now let's crack the music back on and sort out this oak section. That's looking a lot better. We've sorted out the texture on the oak section, we've got some windows in, and I think that's looking okay. We will of course add some finer details down the line, but I think that's in a good enough position for me to make sure that the space we've got inside is enough, which it should be. This thing is massive, but mainly I think I just want a break from detailing, so we're going to go in there and build the sort of, well, the farms, I guess. What are they called? Processing units. That's what we need. But on the inside, I have actually already added some floors. We've just got a ladder here that goes all the way up through the 3 different levels. And I guess I might as well start here and bring the power down. Though to be honest, that is not really going to be enough power to run crushing wheels, so we'll make it look like it's using this power, but we'll actually hook it up to the power station over there. First up, let's just bring this to the middle and then send it all the way down. So we're just going to bring that down to here. We're not actually going to go any further because ideally what I want is to actually have the sort of fake pole carrying on up here. So we are going to make that spin and make it appear as if it's all coming from the windmill, but what we're actually going to do, if I go down here, is connect it all the way over there to our main power plant. And there we go, now we've got speedy power. So the most basic way to do this is going to be just to have a belt there like that, and then if we stick vertical gearboxes either side, we can stick a crusher on each side of those, and then we'll just use trims and draw controllers on either side, which will basically feed things in and take them out. And that by far is going to be the simplest way to do this. So the question really is just about layout. And to be fair, I think something as simple as that's going to work nicely. Now I just need to attach the power. Okay, I think I've got them all spinning in the right direction. Next up, I need to connect up all the storage. So we'll just do that under the floor there. Same there, and we'll actually go a little bit lower for these bits, I think, so we can have a proper floor in. Okay, that's all of those linked up, and they should come out around about here somewhere. I'm going to stick a drawer controller here, which will actually make it a coherent system, and then we just need some storage drawers. That should do it nicely. We only need the 6 drawers, I think. But we need to get these set up, so I'm just going to come over here and grab a bunch of the stuff manually for now. We'll sort out a delivery system over to there shortly. But if we just grab a bunch of wheat, a bunch of sugarcane, and some rice pinnacles, set filters over here, so that one can do wheat, this one can do rice, And this one can do sugarcane. And it has actually just occurred to me, I think when we crush down these, yeah, we've also got a chance of getting straw. So I'm going to need another box. But we'll stick 2 extra boxes just in case. So I'm just going to quickly disconnect the storage system while I get this set up. So we'll have wheat, we'll have sugarcane, and we'll have rice. We'll make sure they're all locked. In fact, we'll keep those 3 open for now. Stick the trim back in there and they should disappear. Okay, so they did, but they're not in the places I want them. So we'll put the straw down there. Seeds, dang it, always seeds. We're going to put them there. Going to put the wheat flour over here, the rice over here. And we're going to find out why the sugarcane didn't go. Am I going from the wrong side, maybe? Nope, I've just failed to connect it. And look at that, it's working a treat. And it's also exceptionally quick. It does a stack in mere milliseconds. So yeah, this is brilliant. Processing sorted. But now the question is, how do we get things over here? I mean, I feel like the tractor's already pretty busy, but I don't know. Let me give this some thought for a moment. Well, some thoughts have been thunk, and I think I've come up with a solution. Or at least made a decision on what solution I should use, because there were actually a few options. The wheat is, of course, stored over there and then moved over there via trailer, so we could have just added a stop for that trailer to come over here and drop off wheat and then go over to there, which would, of course, be another job for the tractor. But that still wouldn't really help us get the sugarcane and the rice pinnacles over here. Another option would have been storage drawers. I could have just linked them up to this system here and done something a bit like that, where we sort of drop it from one system into another. That way it would have all been hidden underground, but, well, that's a bit boring, and that's not really how I like to do things too often. And then I considered building a flatbed truck like this and having one of these sort of transport all of the wheat and rice pinnacles and that sort of stuff around. But I feel like we've got enough of these going around as it is. So with all that in mind, I think what we are going to do is add in a brand new vehicle. And this vehicle is going to have a few jobs, one of which is going to be to take everything from here over to there so that it can be processed and, of course, bring the stuff back again. But we'll probably also use this delivery van to actually get things into town as well, because that way I haven't really got to make it look like a farm vehicle and we can get a bit more creative. So I think we're just going to build this van in the yard down there, but I need to go get some stuff to build with first. So I've got a bunch of stuff. Let's build ourselves a van. We're going to have a nice red van, I think. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't the tractor red? Yeah, the tractor is red. Maybe I should pick a different color. I'll be back. So, as I was saying, we're going to build ourselves a nice green van here. We'll just get a frame in the bottom first, using slabs in the middle, trapdoors on the side. And we'll just build the whole thing out of the lime green terracotta for now. Start with a body shape, maybe get some wheel arches in. And then I want to kind of have this like an old school delivery van. So maybe it needs a doorway, something like that potentially. And I want to get a bit of shape at the front here. So maybe something like that, and a slab. And maybe we can make this a bit wider by sticking these on the side and some spiky bits. Now, for the front windscreen, do we want to maybe use a combination of panes and blocks? That could work, although we're going to need trapdoors, I guess, at the back here just to close up that wall. Well, I'm not sold yet. Let's get a roof on and see how we're looking. Use angled bits there and there. Slabs across the middle. More slopey bits. I want to get a bit of colour in here, so I'm wondering if we can make a small panel, maybe like that, or potentially that. I'll be honest, I don't like either of those. Maybe something like note blocks would work better. Okay, that's quite cool. I like that. Now we need to get some lights on it, so we'll do that there. We need to sort out the actual engine block as well. So yeah, maybe we should go make a loom or something. They always work well for engines. Need rear lights as well. And we could do with the door at the back here. And I think a framed door should do nicely. So if we stick one of these there, put green on the bottom, and we'll put glass on the top. Look at that. Wonderful. So it's looking a bit bland at the moment. Let's do something about that. I want to try and get some colour in, and I'm wondering if... Not that at all. But I am wondering if maybe the top half of this should be a darker green. I'm not sure on that. Maybe just the roof should be a different colour. Okay, that feels a bit better. Let's just get a bit more detail on. We'll get some nice big chunky wing mirrors. We need to go get some string to get a loom. Or if we're lucky, yep, there we go. We've got one right there. Let's stick that in there. License plate on the front. That'll do. Dow Valley 1. Same on the back, but on a black license plate, of course. And I think that's our delivery vehicle pretty much done. Although it could do with some storage. This thing's also going to need a seat and some train controls, which we don't have. But we can make some. Wonderful. So we'll put them there. We'll put the seat there. And more train controls there. So this should work quite nicely. Let's just get the whole thing stuck together, turn it into a train. Then we'll have to figure out the collection and drop-off systems, but that should be fairly straightforward. So, when it comes to train, we're going to need some rail, so we'll start that off here, and I don't have very much rail at all, so are we even going to have enough to connect up to here? It would appear not. So we'll just have a straight bit for now. We'll create ourselves a station here, create a new train, and I don't have any train casings, but I do have some sturdy sheets. Look at that. I've changed my mind. We're actually going to have the storage interfaces attached underground, because then it means I can sort out the bogies a little bit better. So I'm just going to stick that there instead, which is certainly going to make my life much easier. Now let's get all of this glued together. Then assemble train. We'll just call it Farm Delivery 1 for now. Very imaginative. And then let's just check we haven't left anything behind. Nope. I think we're all good. So now what I need to do is actually make myself a whole bunch of rail, because we've only got 5 left, and that's not going to reach very far at all, let alone all the way over to there. But more importantly than that, we've got to get up this slope as well, which is always tricky, and an angled slope as well. Why did I do that to myself? But there's no point whinging about that until we've got loads of rail. Then we're free to whinge away. Alright, I've got a whole bunch of extra rail. Let's get this thing connected up. So, first up, we just need to go over to here. And it's going to follow the same route here that the tractor does. It's going to go this way, it's going to go this way, and around here somewhere is where it needs to go off at an angle. So, we're just going to use Cheaty Free Cam here to make sure we can get it all lined up. So, about there should do it. Then we need to straighten up around about here, and then we go this way until we hit the slope, and that's where things are going to get a bit more tricky. What I need to do is mirror that slope below. Means to get this to work, I'm going to have to do me some digging. That wants to connect up down there. And I think at this point it'll be wise to go grab the van and see how that's actually sitting on that road. Because quite often I get it completely wrong and they end up floating, and we don't want that. So, okay, we've actually got a tractor blocking the path at the moment, and that's because I haven't set any signals yet. So we'll put one here, and we'll just put these over here as well. And we'll work out proper signals for them later when we automate it, but for now, that just means at least the tractor can keep going around, and I can go around in my little van without causing too many problems. Hopefully, maybe. I have been known to crash occasionally, after all. So let's go take this van over there. So this is the bit we need to check. And yep, look at that. He is floating all over the place. Okay, yeah, we need to lower that by a good couple of blocks, it would seem. Let's just bring him back down and make some adjustments. I'll bring you back once we've got this bit sorted, because that bit's not going to be very fun either. Some minor adjustments to the road at the top here and the car park, and of course lots of time underground digging and laying tracks. I think we've got it pretty much sorted now. So if we jump in here, we can take a nice drive all the way down to the other farm. I just need to adjust this road a little bit more, it would seem. We're still a bit out of line on the diagonal. But this all loops around nicely all the way to the other building. And over here, what it's going to do is go left. It's going to go this way, get into a position where it can reverse, and then it's going to pull up over the back here. But I do need to fix that road, and I need to put in a few stations. So I've got the stations in. We've got 2 for the windmill, and at the other side, we've got 2 for the farmhouse, and we've got 1 for the reverse as well. And combined with all the signals we've got in, I should now be able to park up the trains, sort out storage, and set it to automate. It shouldn't really take too much longer, hopefully. Just need to get myself some draw controllers, some trim. We're going to need a lot more of that. Some funnels, and some item drains. And the storage interfaces are going to come in handy as well. So we'll have this first one in here, which is going to be for dropping things off. And we can just connect that to the storage system up there, so that's nice and easy. The second one's going to be for picking things up, but we need to put a filter in because we need to make sure we're only collecting the things we want. Which means I need some wool. Make ourselves some of these. We'll set this to rice pinnacles, wheat, and of course sugarcane. Put that on there, stick 2 of those in. Another storage interface. Input. An input there. Stick that on top. And we should be good. That is loading up, but something I haven't considered is the fact that we probably want even amounts of lots of different things. Let me rethink this a little bit. If we change that filter just to rice pinnacles, get that turned off for now, then we'll add 2 extra ones here. Disassemble the train, because we're going to need to make some changes to this as well. Set these to wheat and sugarcane. Reattach those. Then we're going to use some redstone links just to make sure that these only trigger when the train's in the station. We don't want them filling up too early after all. We'll do that with a comparator. And that should solve that problem. Let's just reattach these and we should start getting stuff coming out. Although, I need to actually invert this signal. If we do that, then that. Job done. Okay, now we just need to sort out the windmill side and we should be good to go. And there we go, that's the windmill side done as well. So everything gets dropped off here, and then over on this side we're picking up the flour, the sugar, and the rice. Yeah, that's the one, the rice. I didn't forget what it was. What are you talking about? But it is actually the next day in real life now, and not because this took a particularly long time to do, but because manually planting about 7,000 wheat did take a while. Look, it was late, I needed a break from recording, and it was something that needed doing. But look at that, it looks so much better over here now. We've actually got a little bit of verticality to the wheat field. I'm sure that's a word. There's no detail, of course. We need to add in some grass tufts and a few things like that. We need to sort out the edges of the road and so on. And of course, I still want to sort out this area here. But this is certainly coming along. We're producing crazy amounts of this stuff to the point where this has been running all night, and it looks like the flour might actually be full up on the other side. Oh yes, look at those numbers. We've got loads of everything. So, as much as I love how that windmill is looking, we still need to make it look better and sort out the road. So I think that's going to be my next thing, so you're probably going to get like a tiny little montagey time-lapse type thing. And then when we come back, we'll talk about mushrooms. There we go. I think that's looking much better. We've got all the road and the car park sorted out. We've got some more custom trees in. I've even sorted out the ones in the fields that I didn't do last episode, and the one in front of our farmhouse. But I have kept it fairly simple over here. We've just got lots of wheat. Some of it's been here a little bit too long, it would seem, but that's all the stuff that's sort of getting ready to go into the windmill itself. I've added some new scarecrows, of course, and I have also put a sort of border on this side of the field because, well, this is where we're going to be building our airfield next episode, and I want to make sure we're going to be able to get a road in nicely over to it. We have to do so much landscaping to get an airfield in, though. But that's a problem for future, Beardy. For now, mushrooms. I need to solve our mushroom shortage. And to be honest, the only space left in this farm, I think, is that area over the back there. So maybe we should just chuck down another small barn and stick a mushroom farm inside it. Actually, there's quite a lot of space here. We can make a big barn. We love barns. So if we're going to put mushrooms in that barn, we may as well also do cocoa. And then we'll have a look and see what space we've got left. Because the glow lichen and the vines, for example, very small farms, we can probably squeeze those in. Potentially cactus and bamboo. I don't really know. But let's be honest, we're not going to be eating cactus and bamboo, so I don't really care too much. We'll put them in if we have space. First up, let's just plonk down another fairly straightforward looking barn. Short while later, and we have another barn plonked down. And I'll tell you what, I think it might be my new favourite. I really like it. It's simple, but the textures are nice, the colours are good. Oh, it just works. And it sits over the back here nicely as well, which is good. And we've got plenty of space inside. But now I need to make a mushroom farm, and I have no idea how to do that. Thanks to past experiences, though, something I do know about mushrooms is that if you don't put lights in, which we do, of course, now have, is that they spread everywhere. I guess that's what we're going to be taking advantage of. In regards to a growing surface, I think I'm just going to use coarse dirt. And my thinking is if we plant mushrooms down the middle like this, then hopefully they should spread either side. And then we can just run harvesters up and down and not harvest the middle. What I think we'd also do is have 2 levels. So we're going to have brown mushrooms on the bottom, and then we'll have red mushrooms above. In fact, let's put them 1 notch higher. So that should do the trick. We just need to go grab some more mushrooms, and I'm fairly sure we've got some in storage. There we go. That should do it. And as long as we don't put any lights on this side, it should be dark enough for them to spread. But I think it happens quite slowly. I'm just hoping that they can spread to coarse dirt, because if not, we've got to go on an adventure to go get some podzol, which I know definitely works. But anyway, now that's done, let's get some harvesters in. So we need some temporary blocks first. We need more harvesters than that. But we've got lots of iron sheets in this bag, so that should be okay. Got that, loads of harvesters. So we'll put 3 on that side, 3 on that side, and the same above. Remove all these temporary blocks. And then we'll just make a nice frame for these harvesters. We'll use some framed secret storage there, and then we'll just offload them here, I think, with a funnel. Keep it nice and simple. Though nothing's grown yet. I mean, how slow does this happen? We'll just have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, let's turn this thing into a contraption. We're just going to do it nice and simply using a minecart. But of course, if things are going to grow this slowly, we don't need to fire this thing very often. So I've put in a basic system here which just uses the light level, and basically when this goes to daylight for the first time each day, it's going to fire this, which will assemble the contraption and send it off for one run. And while I've been doing that, I've also been doing some experiments with mushroom growth and, well, I've done a bit of reading as well. And my initial farm wouldn't have worked because mushrooms will only spread if there's less than 5 of the same mushroom type in a 9x9x3 area. So what that means is I need to mess around with this a little bit more. We're also going to have to change up the harvester, but we'll get to that later. We're going to expand this platform by another couple of blocks. So that's 9, and if we were to go 1, 2, 3, 4 there, and there, which isn't ideal, but it'll do, I guess, then in theory, each one of these will be able to produce 4 mushrooms before it will stop making any more. Which tells me I need to make this farm a lot bigger. I think once per tick, there's like a 4% chance that they'll then check if they can grow. So yeah, it's very, very slow. And I'm glad we built a big barn, but yeah, there might not be room for cocoa. We'll have to see, I guess. So that's both floors in, and I think I did a clever, because it did say that the mushrooms, it only sort of spreads if there's less than 5 of the same mushroom type. So by actually alternating them like this, in theory, they should grow a little bit quicker, maybe, potentially. I don't know. But one thing they definitely need less of is light. So we're going to block up this wall here. Just do this for now. The question is, does a door block light? It would appear not. Do half slabs block light? It looks like they do. We've still got a little bit of light around here, but nothing too much. Wait a minute, why is it so light over here? Ah, these bits here are letting light through. Let's block those off. Now if I turn down my brightness to 100, hopefully it'll be nice and dark in here. Oh yes, look at that. Hopefully that will help them grow. Although, that does lead me to wonder, does the door actually block light after all? No, it really doesn't. So temporarily we will just use those and whack our brightness back up so we can see what we're doing. Now we need to rebuild the harvesters. Now I've got the harvesters in on both levels and everything's all set up correctly. I just need to shove a minecart in here. And the light level indicator thing is actually pulling in from outside and just getting routed into this block here. But the entire time I was doing that, I was getting no mushrooms, so I decided to actually plant a few more and just see if that helps speed it up a little bit, maybe, potentially, because that way there's kind of twice as many mushrooms trying to actually grow. And as you can see, it doesn't appear to be working. We're getting some. Only red ones so far, though, but we've got 3 extra ones. So I think just trying to find the right balance of how many we have is going to be the key here. So I'm going to raise all these ones up just so they don't get harvested. And after a bit more research, it turns out that mushrooms will spread onto anything that has a light level lower than 12. So I can actually get away with just sticking a door in here because this block here, which is the closest one to the door, has a light level of 10, which means it's fine. So lots of trial and error, but we finally have an exceedingly slow mushroom farm. I mean, I could bone meal them and chop them down and get mushrooms that way, but, you know, I like organically grown mushrooms as opposed to bone meal ones. Makes for a tastier dish. Now let's just stick in a few safety barriers. Well, look at that, we've had another mushroom grow already. So there we have it. Our slow but at least working mushroom farm is now good to go. And eventually maybe we'll have enough mushrooms to actually cook something with. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. We did manage to get the windmill down. We got the field expanded. We even got a new delivery truck. He's parked over there somewhere. As well as our extremely slow mushroom farm. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.